Alright, so today we're going to be looking at what we can potentially expect for our next system, which would be called Tropical Storm Hurricane Josephine. Now that we now have Tropical Storm Isaias pretty much gone, I thought it would be a pretty good time to look at what the models show for potential systems to form in the near future. So first off, let's take a look at the Atlantic wide just to get a little bit of a perspective with what's going on in the world right now. So we do continue to notice some tropical waves coming off the coast of Africa, which is pretty usual. And then we do have 94L up there, which really doesn't look like it's going to form at this point, but it's kind of moving southwestward, pretty interestingly, but nothing really expected there. We also noticed some pretty heavy convection in the Caribbean and in the Eastern Pacific. We'll see if this could potentially form into something as we get into the next couple of days, but again, not too much. A couple fronts here and there, and as you can see, tropical from Isa, yes, it's pretty much gone. You can't really see it. It's somewhere, it's technically somewhere up there, but you can't really see it. Now, right now, I'm really looking out for maybe potentially this little fella and this tropical wave, but really it doesn't look like anything's going to be coming out of that. So here's 94L. Here it is right here on the side. As you can see, it doesn't have that lot of convection. And right now we're getting into a unfavorable time, which is going to be slowing development. But, it's just a little low pressure system. And really doesn't look like anything's going to be really coming out of that. All right. So let's kind of take a look at those models. First off, the GFS model. So again, GFS model has been showing a pretty quiet time, except potentially maybe one or two system coming out of those tropical wave as they move off the coast of Africa. Will any of them form? That's still a question, but as you can see, it does form a couple of them here and there. Also, it looks like potentially two or three systems could be forming off the coast here in the Eastern Pacific. So we're definitely also going to have to keep an eye on that for potential Central American impact with those systems in the near future. Now, as we get into the next around 306 hours, we notice this. We do see this potential storm forming here in the Caribbean. Now, as I said, it looks like we might have 10 days maybe of unfavorable, condition. But, as we get into the next 300 hours, we notice three systems here. And it looks like this is really when the peak is going to start forming at the season. Now, this one up there dies pretty quickly. Sorry about that, guys. And that one also dies pretty quickly, but this one does starts to intensify rather quickly. 995 and a potential hurricane landfall in the Yucatan Peninsula. So we're definitely going to watch out for this. Now, again, it is very, very far out to watch anything, but then we do get a 981 storm heading towards the Carolina and Texas border. And then we got this bad boy. And, this could be our first major hurricane right there. As you can see, this absolutely enormous wave is trying to wrap around, and you can clearly see this start to kind of wrap around. And I think this is what I think. I think this could be a tropical storm to Category 1, but in my opinion, I think this is going to be our first Cat 3 hurricane. Now, it's just my opinion, but look at that. You really see this starting wrapping around here. And I would not be surprised if this, again, it's so far out, it's impossible to tell. But if this ends up forming, this could be our first Category 1 hurricane. But other than that, nothing really expected. Now, next 300 hours, 300 hours into days, my bad. That would mean in 12 days. So in about 2 weeks, we might have a 1 week and a half kind of quiet period, I think. Now let's look at the GFS para. It's not yet out, but it looks like those could definitely be a couple systems forming. The European model really doesn't have much either in terms of development. Maybe a little system in the main development region right there. As you can see, you do see that forming in the next 120 hours. So maybe we get a system in like a week or so, and then it looks like it could be just a weak, oops, a weak system that kind of dies off here in the Caribbean. Kind of like it reminds me of Gonzalo a little bit. It just kind of dies off right there. So potentially another little main development region system for this area, but it looks like nothing else major other than that. Same thing there. The CMC models, they don't seem to show too much development happening in the next couple of days. Let's see here, maybe one or two, maybe a little main development region system kind of going with the European model, but nothing else. It does keep it quiet for the next 240 hours, and we're just gonna quickly go over some of the other models just to prove my point. Same thing there with the Navgen model. It looks like it does keep it rather quiet for the next at least for the next at least 180 hours. So it seems like we're really going to be entering a very quiet phase, which is going to give us a little break, as we've been seeing, all those systems forming right after the other. So it looks like we're really going to be getting finally a little quiet phase for maybe a week or two. And I mean, it's going to be good, but it's also going to help the tropics kind of cool down stuff. But we're gonna see how that does end up affecting this as we go on. Now, I don't want to make this video too long because I know it's kind of boring after. But very quickly, I just want to show you guys that La Nina really starting to take effect. As you guys remember, that went down very dramatically around May 27 before really staying at around neutral for a good month or two. And it does look like this is finally starting to take shape, and we're almost getting to that minus 0.4, which would make it a La Nina stage, but it does have to stay there for a little while. But if that trend continues, it looks like we could see this, start to stay in that La Nina area. But we've been seeing a little bit of a decrease in the drops in the last couple of points. So could this do like it's been doing and start to just go back up like it's been doing up and down? It's kind of like a roller coaster. So we'll see how that does end up going. But if we do look at the 7-day anomaly, as you can see, we do have very cold waters colder waters in the areas where Isaias passed, which is noticeable and normal because we do have those kind of systems going through, and then you kind of see that La Nina starting to take effect there. Other than that, a couple of areas colder and here and there, but nothing too majorly noticeable. But overall, as you can see, the Atlantic is very much warmer than average, except as you can see, except Isaias and Hannah, which did cold a little bit those areas. But other than that, we do have very very warm temperatures. So the moral, when can we expect Josephine? We can expect Josephine probably at least in the next week and a half or so, very potentially in the Caribbean or in the main development region. But I will put my bet more for a Caribbean system. When can we expect what's happening? I think it's Kyle. When can we expect Kyle? Probably in August as well. And what is it? August 5. I think we're going to start seeing activity really picking up around August 15. And from there on, just tropical systems after tropical systems from there on. Yet to see if 94L will form or if any of the tropical waves will form. And if those do form, it'll be Josephine. So I'll keep you guys updated. As always, I'll have updates. And yeah, peace.